Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to EFL Debate. I'm delighted to be joined by promotion-winning Northampton Town manager Jon Brady. Jon, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. Has it sunk in yet?
Um, well, week after it's just been really good to just to enjoy this week. Has it sunk in? It's only just finally sinking in, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what wonderful achievement, especially in the circumstances which we'll come on to. I wanted to dedicate this interview to the media team at Northampton Town, Jamie Duncan and Gareth Willsher. Incredible job that they've done throughout the year, and I've got so much respect for that. So I want to take this opportunity to sort of say that. But I suppose my first question to you, Jon, really is: what does Northampton Town mean to you?
Well, obviously, it's pretty well documented that what I've talked about to our fans, they know, but to the wider audience, what does it mean to me? I moved up here in 1998 when Russian and Diamonds bought me, and I've been in the county ever since. In terms of Northamptonshire, the county really means a lot to me because this is where I met my wife. I've got 3 children now that go to school within the county. And then obviously I played for Rushden and Diamonds. We got promotion there. Played for Kettering. We got promotion there, and got promotion with Brackley as a manager. And they're all within Northamptonshire. So what I've tried to do is really build a connection with the people and the fans in Northampton. And I want to bring all the clubs together if we can and really work together. So that first and foremost. What does it mean to me and what's it all about? It's my whole life really, and in football has been really built here. And now a lot of my best friends are here, and a lot of my best friends are Cobblers fans. So there's an added pressure for me as well. And then a lot of our staff, Colin's local, Mark Richards is local, James Olga's local. And so it means so much to myself and our staff, really. So we're so connected, and what we want to try and do, Gab, is really connect ourselves and show our authenticity and how much it meant to us, to our fans.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful stuff. If you moved to Northamptonshire in 1998, I'm impressed with how well you've kept your Australian accent. Do you ever go back and they say you've changed, or what's it like when you go back there?
Last time I went back was 2011, and it is too long ago. The reason why, Gab, to get my 3 youngsters on a flight that I'm not looking forward to that, and we're going to have to do it one day soon. But then they're 9, 8, and 5, and I think we've just avoided it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But my mates, when I first came over and I went back after a year, I got a little bit of stick because my accent had apparently changed. But I do know, and I then get it comes back the other way. Last time I did go back, after 2 days, I fall into that real strong Aussie accent again, and I get stick off my mates here, so I can't win.
I'm the opposite. I feel like my accent can change wherever I am. I sort of seem to adopt the accent of wherever I am, but it's they notice, so clearly they're onto you. I want to take it back to when you first took charge of Northampton Town after Keith Curle's exit, and it was obviously possibly a difficult situation to keep the club up at that point, but there was a noticeable improvement in terms of you could see a bit of progress. I think you changed the formation at that point. So just what were your initial thoughts when you sort of first took the job?
Yeah, look, I was surprised at being asked for the job, and obviously at the time I had a lot of other commitments. I was youth team manager, but I had several other commitments as well, and the club knew that. I ran my own business on top of that as well. I just wanted to get back on the grass every day, and I really loved it. And I was really enjoying developing young talent and helping them come into the first team, and that was a good relationship I had with Keith at the time. Helping him with good young talent. And when I first came in, obviously it was only just on an interim basis to help the club potentially find someone to take over. And obviously, I think first game we play Burton, lose 2-0, but we pushed them all the way. And then second game we play Ipswich away and we draw 0-0. Should have won the game. Played really well. Played a real good style of football. Boys really bought into it, and wow! And then we started to do quite well from there on. And overall, that season, unfortunately, we just missed out by 3 points. But I think points per game, if for the 20 games, we were 15th in the league. And the club, in the end, after a period of time, asked me to do it till the end of the season. And then at the end of the season, asked if I'd like to take it on permanently. And myself, Ian Sampson, who had done the job probably 10 years ago, is the academy manager, and Mark Richards, we felt we'd, and I wouldn't want to take this the wrong way from being in the academy, but we felt we came alive again, because obviously, being ex-professionals, it was just being up in that environment. I looked at Samo and I went, mate, I've never seen you this. It was just so much enthusiasm, so much energy. It was brilliant. And we all connected. Samo, at the end, I asked him to stay with me, but he wanted to stay with the academy, and he was enjoying that as well. So, but yeah, look, that's how it transpired, really.
Yeah, for sure. And then the season in League Two, when you seem to get a lot. Brilliant defensive side last season, and seemed to get a lot of goals from set pieces. And I suppose that was the sort of hallmark, I suppose, of last season's side.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Gab. We obviously, I as soon as the season finished League One, I was in the very next day, and then we worked so hard on first and foremost creating a blueprint on how we wanted to do things. And obviously, first and foremost, who was crucial in the role was we recruited. I had to recruit the recruiter along with James Whiting, and I did that together, and we recruited Martin Foyle, who was really, really good, and then just put out a blueprint of how we wanted to play, player profiles, and on those player profiles, unrelenting on what we wanted, certain non-negotiables as well within those that we worked on. And the club had never had anything like this before, and I just wanted to have a real strong structure in how we wanted to do how I wanted to do it and what we wanted to do, and the club really bought into it. We crunched the numbers on a lot of stats as well, and worked on that, and then overall it worked. But like you say, going back to the team, then once we got the team together, we realised that we were still deficient in a few areas, but our real strength was John Guthrie and Fraser Horsfall at the back.
Yeah.
And then you had delivery on top of that with Mitch Pinnock and Sam Hoskins. And, we worked really hard on set pieces. And between them, I don't want to get this round the wrong way. I'm pretty sure Fraser got 9 and John got 8 from set pieces. So overall, we got 17 goals from just those two alone. But we got a few more from various others. But and that was our real strong point. And then to have Robbo in goal, who's now gone on to Middlesbrough. And then obviously those two as centre backs, we had a real strong base. But we defend from the front and defend as a team. But that set us up very nicely, Gav.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to sort of go back to what you said earlier in that answer in terms of having a really strong and clear blueprint, because I feel like there's in football, there's managers that come in and they say the sort of surface level answer is yes, obviously, of course, we want a blueprint, we want to play a particular way. But then I think it's very difficult to actually, for some managers, to sometimes apply that blueprint when it comes to selecting the players. And I've seen Northampton Town in, previous, I'm thinking the late 2010s, where it felt like actually on paper it was a decent squad, but it didn't feel like there was an alignment between the style of play and the personnel that you had on the pitch. But I think the clubs that do have an alignment right the way through the club are the ones that are going to be successful.
Well, again, you're right. We wanted alignment. And right down to there a lot of directors. We got them involved and asked their opinion. We said, look, we'd sit them down and go, this is who we want to sign, and we wanted alignment from them as well. And they come on board with it. And obviously, I've looked from afar, Gab, and I've seen football management since I left Brackley 2015. And then, I come into it in 2021, and I see a lot of managers come and go very quickly.
Sure.
And over that period of time, I never ever wanted to probably go back into senior management, but subconsciously you look from afar and you think, what would I do in this situation? How would I do it, etc., etc. And always in the back of my mind were some ideas of this is the way I wanted to do it. And then as that 2021 season in League One progressed, and then they asked me at the end, right, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to take the job. I just went bang, bang, bang. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. This is the structure, and want to have real clarity, Gab. And that's, you talk about alignment. Alignment's so key in terms of managing up, managing down to your players. And, that's where I feel that we're so strong as a football club right now, because everyone's on the same page, everyone's together, and this is how we're going to do it. This is what we do. We do have flex as well. We're very, very good at understanding if we're not on the right road at times. We need to, stop, assess, and find another way, which I feel we're very good at as well.
You've had to be good at.
Wow. No, it's been good, and I've probably stayed longer than the normal stint of a manager at the moment.
Break out the champagne for that.
Yeah.
No, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because for me, what I want to talk to you about, Jon, is the balance of management teams. And what I see from you, you're clearly a very passionate guy, and you've been able to adapt to some very difficult situations, especially in terms of injuries, which we'll come on to. But then I look at somebody like Colin Calderwood, who's got such a long experience in the game. He's coached and worked right at the top level. And I think for you as a inexperienced manager at the time, sort of only just having come out of part-time youth team, part-time, running your own business, how important has it been, that relationship with Colin Calderwood?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. Well, look, I heard after Blackpool, he sort of wanted to come back to the area. He lives about 30 seconds from the training ground. We met 5 or 6 times, and had some real good chats, and realised we've got some similar views, but also realised that not only that, we probably push each other, and we had some views that extended either end, and that's not a bad thing, because we certainly don't say yes to each other a lot of the time, and but it's strong, never gets heated. But there's some strong arguments either way. There's never any grudges, and I think it works. It really works. And obviously his experiences from previous are incredible. And then you'll sit down with him, and I try and dig about. He's so modest where you try and dig about his playing career, and then he pops up and says, "Yeah, I played against Ronaldo," and you're like, "Oh, come on, tell me more, will you? Tell me more." And you try and him, and it's quite special because then next minute you're out coaching with him, and we're all on the same wavelength. It's just really nice that, and obviously. I feel he's enjoyed it because what Cole wants to do, which we've got a longer term plan, and he's merging into going into a sort of not right now, but into a technical director's role. Because when Martin Foyle left, Cole and I sat down with the chairman and chief executive, and we said, look, we would like to do this more organically now. So then we know what we want, but we gave ourselves a little bit more, not a little bit more, a lot more work to do. So we do the recruitment in-house now. And Cole's just finishing up his technical director's course, level 5, and he'll have that done by the summer. So obviously, as things progress, we're hoping that we can, like I say, continue this, and his development over a number of years will probably go into that and probably come off the grass a lot more. But he loves his grass time as well with myself. So it's really good. So overall, yeah, it's developing. It's been great. We've had a good time together, and luckily we've got a bit of success along the way as well.
Certainly have. I want to talk to you about bringing players in from the academy, because it feels like it's been something Northampton Town have struggled with at times, and sometimes at Northampton there's been a bit of a jump from academy or youth team football to first team football, which I think a lot of clubs your size have struggled with. So talk to me about the work Mark Richards has done to try and sort of create those pathways between the youth team and the first team.
Yeah, so Mark's role is well, first and foremost, we have a flat hierarchy. I like to call it a flat hierarchy, Gab, where any time that it's that coach's time, we all support them. And we do everything we can to support them in that moment or their session, etc. So, that's how we work. So it could be Mark's time to shine, could be my time, could be James Olga's, etc., or Collins, and that's how we work. Now, looking into Mark's role, Mark is the assistant coach, but he links the academy to the first team. Now, this season we've had a few youngsters, but the one that's really popped through is probably Max Dyche.
Sure.
Ultimately, Mark also works with the loans, but I help him with obviously my experience in non-league football and the contacts. So, but I've set him up quite a lot with who to speak to, what to do, and now he's flying with that. And so we've had a lot of our young academy players go out at step 4, step 3, and really try and gain that experience, which we feel to get them. My big thing is get them first team ready, and to do that, they need to play senior games, need to play non-league, know how to use their body a lot more, and the game's quicker, and they're fighting for 3 points on the weekend.
Sure.
Now you do at academy level, but it's different. We're developing, and the result isn't the main thing at academy level. It's the development of that player. So overall, Mark's done really well at that. He's learning all the time, and we've also with all the. Basically, we've done with 22s and unders this year, like our Harvey Lintop. Harv only had 9 sub appearances for Gillingham last season, and obviously Aaron McGowan was injured, and we knew he'd be out from up until October. Well, Harv came in with his physicality, his speed, and his, as we say, his strength, and he's ended up playing over 38 games in the starts in the league this season, which is absolutely incredible. But Mark will sit down, and a few of us will sit down with him, and we'll have a development plan for those youngsters. And then it might be come back in the afternoon, work on some deficiencies or work on their super strengths. And and then we'll review on video, and Mark will do that through the week as well. Well, we distribute it around between ourselves, to be honest, which is we've sort of got a really good fit in terms. Mark's a striker, I'm a midfielder, and Cole's a defender. So we go off and take the units, or we'll bring the guys in and highlight certain things with them as well. So
could have done with Cole at times on the pitch.
this season, if his legs could go on a bit quicker, yeah.
Yeah, could have done a job there for sure. I want to go to the final day of last season, because sort of in context with I suppose the final day of this season, because Sam Hoskins did an interview and saying, the team had kind of put the experience at Barrow last season in a box, and that was that season, and this is this season, and all the rest of it. But was it sort of on the back of your mind the fact that you missed out on the final day of last season, and how you wanted to sort of right that wrong a little bit?
How do you mean, Gab? Do you mean from the start of this season, or right in the last game of the season? Let's
go from the start of this season.
Okay, so we felt with the new players we recruited, we felt it was worth telling our story and our journey. So we delivered that on the first day in, and showed them how we work and what we do, and the story of last season. So and then that was left there. That was left for everyone, but it wasn't ever talked about. It wasn't ever brought up or anything like that. And obviously then with the media, you are reminded when you're getting closer to the finish line of last year, and constantly reminded about that. And I would say the only thing was probably 5 minutes to go in the game against Tranmere, where some of our staff had the phone on, and then we heard that Stockport had a penalty, and then the referee put 6 minutes up on ours, and then you have all those thoughts from last year, because you imagine being on the touchline last year, Gab, and at half time at Barrow away, we are winning, and Bristol Rovers need a 5-goal swing to gain promotion. And at our level, I don't think I've ever seen 5 goals go in apart from that game in a half of football.
Although I would say, if I could just interject, I did actually say Bristol Rovers would win that game 7-0. That was what I honestly thought at that time, because of who they were playing, and the fact that if you need to score a certain amount of goals, I think that changes the dynamics of things.
Well, anyway, so the thing there was where probably about in the Barrow game away, I start hearing in the 80th minute they've scored a 4th. They're only 3 away. Then 2 minutes later they've scored a 5th. They've scored and so yeah, of course you've got some deep-rooted scars that are left. And then so flip to the Tranmere game when we hear Stockport have a penalty, and then the 4th puts up 6 minutes to go. Well, I'm trying to be positive in that moment on the outside, but on the inside, I'm going through turmoil. And so, yeah, and then we hear that they missed the penalty, and I am still not believing it until then. And then they say the game's finished there, but my head cannot finish until our whistle's blown.
Yeah.
When the whistle's blown, like all the fans run on the
pitch.
Well,
if I'm not mistaken, if you'd lost to Tranmere, you wouldn't have gone up, because Stockport with a draw would have got, because they had a better goal difference, didn't they? So if you'd conceded twice,
wouldn't have jumped over us with a draw. But if they would have scored, and say for example Tranmere went down the other end and levelled it, yeah, we would have been in trouble really. So but look, we got it over the line, and that was the most important thing. So yeah, all those emotions we're going through, and that's only human nature, I feel, because those lessons from the past, they've been brilliant for us, really, and I take it as a positive, because we got our recruitment really spot on this year, and we are a lot stronger than I think we were last year. So if we went up, I don't think we'd be, in as good place right now. So I think a lot of lessons have been great. It's made us a lot harder, a lot stronger, a lot more resilient. So all in all, I think it's been really good for us, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll come on to how much better equipped this team is, but I wanted to finish off on the final day at Tranmere, which is because how, as a manager, you're sort of caught between two, in the sense of obviously what's going on elsewhere massively affects you, and yet on the other hand, as a manager, you want to try and keep everything, because if the players are starting to think about trying to find out what's going on elsewhere, they can lose the focus from their own performance. So how do you manage that as a manager?
So both games, Gab, last year and this year, and funny enough, we find ourselves in nearly exactly the same position, don't we? And we just focus on trying to win the game. And I didn't want any outside influences, etc. If we felt if we won the game and won it by a couple of goals against Barrow, we potentially could go up, but knew the pitfalls, and we just look. Barrow put a very strong side out, and they played really well on the day, and that was such a tough game. And then, to be fair, Dorsey's come in at Tranmere, and he's on the pro license with me at the moment, Dorsey, and he was desperate to win that game because he's just taken over. He's passionate about his club at Tranmere, and well, that was a really tough game on last Monday. They were very strong, put a really good side out, and that was a tough challenge. So clear focus was just on trying to first and foremost following the process, play at our best level, and thereafter, if we're at our best, we believe we can win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's come on to that point that you make about sort of possibly comparing last season's side to this year's, because I think, would it be fair for me to say that this year's side had a little bit more flair? I remember there was a game at Crewe Alexandra. I think you drew 2-2, if I'm not mistaken, but it was an odd situation of Northampton Town having something like 67% possession against the Crewe Alexandra team, which historically you'd have sort of said would be quite unusual. So have you tried to evolve the style a little bit?
This season, certainly. We in certain games we'd like to control the ball more, but we are quite adaptable. In some games we don't mind. You know, we're quite fluid in the way we want to do it, and it's working to our strengths. We're a team that can sit in the mid block and break and hit you pretty hard with pace as well. And there's certain teams that we don't mind that they've had possession. So, and there's other teams where we really want to dominate the ball. So, it's playing the trying to work out the opposition and playing to our strengths at best, really, and that's as simply as we've done it. Did we want to evolve the team? Of course, we want to evolve the team. We knew last season, this previous season, we were strong, but in terms of decision making on the ball, we felt and the players to do that, we needed to be better. We've gone and recruited better players in terms of that. And I feel that we're still developing, and then League One is going to be a challenge in itself. So, hopefully we can recruit well again this term.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose you might be hoping that one of the players you can recruit back is Mark Leonard, because he's had an absolutely where he's really impressed me this season, because he looks like a real technician, as you'd expect from someone on loan from Brighton, because they really do seem to develop players. But he seems to be able to play as a 6 or as an 8 and control or create, and just such an exciting prospect, and you must feel like he's been a huge part of what you've been able to do this season.
Well, I think he and Kieran have played, Kieran Bowie as well. I think they've played close to 90 games, or maybe even more than that combined. So, you know, for players to have their first loan and be able to do that, Gab, you do all the stats, that rarely happens, you know. So, and I would say they haven't come with a 21s style attitude. They've come straight away with a men's attitude that this is what I want to do. I want to be in your team. I want to work hard to get in that team. If I'm left out of the team, I don't sulk. I work harder to get back into your team. I ask why, and then their attitudes have been exemplary, and they're the exact type that we were after and we wanted, and they fitted into the group like they are senior pros, and you know, they've acted like that, and they've taken responsibility in key moments, and they've delivered in key moments. So yeah, they've been very influential for us this season.
Yeah, for sure. Another one would be Sam Hoskins, because he's. Do you know what, John? I've always felt like Sam Hoskins has been a little bit underrated at times, whether that's sort of in the league at different points of his career, because I've always felt like he's brought a huge amount of value to Northampton Town. Incredibly hard-working player for someone of his ability. So you must be delighted to have to see him get another opportunity to prove and show what he can do in League One.
No, of course. You know, I watched from afar, as I said, as a youth team manager for 4 and a bit years, and Sam's been here that time. Pardon me, and you know, I came up and took a couple of sessions every now and then, and then I watched him in games and realised, overall, in my opinion, no matter who they've had here, he's the best finisher at the football club. And obviously, previous managers might have played different type of shapes, etc., and had him a bit deeper, maybe as a wing back in a 3-5-2. And I felt the consistency to, you know, the majority of the time we played 4-3-3, but if we ever flipped to a 3-5-2, Sam's played up front as a 9 this season, or he's played mostly wide left, and he likes coming inside and using his right foot, or ghosting in between the centre back and the full back. And the way we play to his strengths, and it was more about touches in the box, arrivals in the box, getting in that box more for him. And obviously we've worked on that the previous season, where he got 13, and that was his most, I think his previous best, I might be right in saying that it was 8, and now then it went to 13, and now 22. And you know, let's get it right, he scored a third of our goals this season. That's you know, and with assists as well on top of that. Look, he's been hugely influential, and I go back to but we've had good wins without him as well. Like he had COVID early in the season, and we go to Swindon away, and he rings me up in the morning and he said, "Sorry, Gaffer, I can't make it. I'm ill." And this sort of summed our season up, Gab. You know, and then I was missing 3 or 4 others, and we go there and win 2-1, and then the week after we go to Stevenage, and Sam's unable to play again, and we beat them 3-2 at their place, and the first ones to beat them this year.
And they'd just beaten Aston Villa, I think, as well, or with I think they had. So
yeah. So look, but that sort of also, that was key as well. It proved to the group that, and this season, a lot of players, Mitch Pinnock's been out, John Guthrie's been out, and the group's just proved to itself, it doesn't matter who's out, we can find a way. So that's been brilliant, really.
Yeah, and I think that's an extraordinary credit to you that Northampton Town have been able to overcome those challenges. Because if I look at it, I think if we say Leyton Orient, for example, okay, they've certainly had their problems and they've dealt with them incredibly well, but most of their injuries happened sort of December or January, where they still had some time to sort of deal with those issues in the market. Whereas for you, like, you still had an injury crisis in March or April, where you're coming to the real crunch point of the season, where you're relying on muscle memory and the familiarity of playing together because the pressure is ramped up. And there's also the sort of feeling of missing out last year and just wanting to get over the line, and to have all those injuries at that point, that must really test your sort of adaptability as a manager.
Oh, hugely, Cab. Look, we started the season with the second, I think it's the second youngest squad and the second smallest squad in the league. And in the Papa John's and the Carabao games, I had to play a lot of youth team players because we had 5 to 6 injuries from the start of the season until Christmas. But like I spoke the other day to a few friends, I said that really sort of tested me then, but it sort of set me up for what was to come. And to have 10 out injured constantly on average, so it was between 9 and 12, so on average it was at least 10 injured from Christmas all the way through to the end of the season. And we were playing Jack Salby at centre back, the
Cam Hoskins at right back on the penultimate game, and
yeah, and it those types of things. And it was just couple of silly little things that we did at times, and I was convincing Jack Salby was Cannavaro, and boys were laughing in a good way through the training sessions. But subconsciously, I wanted to make it a bit of fun and put that into his mindset and make him feel 10 feet tall. And but it seemed to work, because Jack away at Carlisle was a revelation in there. But then you go to Carlisle away, John Guthrie, after 20 minutes, had done his hamstring in that game. John came over and said, "Gaffer, it's gone." And then, testament to that man and our captain, he went, "I'll carry on to half time and I'll just get through, but I'll bring the 2 other centre backs in tighter with me." And bearing in mind, we had to go from a 4-3-3 just because we had centre mids on the back line. We thought it would tighten us up a little bit, so we had to change shape to adapt to who we had. And anyway, John's come in at half time. Physio's gone, "Yeah, it's done." John went, "You haven't got another centre back on the bench. I'll play the next half." And I went, "You can't." He went, "I will." So then he brought the guys in tight to him. I'm probably getting stick from our fans because John's not gone up for any corners or anything, because he couldn't go up there. But he's gone through the whole 90 minutes and done his hamstring. So a testament to the lads we've had this season. There's stories within stories, Gab, that are incredible, incredible with this group of young men, really.
Yeah, for sure. And the centre back position is obviously that's really been tested. But you mentioned Max Dyche from the academy earlier. I also wanted to mention David Norman Jr. because I think he was available. Was he playing in Welsh football when you picked him up? But anyway, he's come in and had a fantastic end to the season as well.
No, the story is that it's funny how you speak to people, and a couple of agents I know, I always pick the phone up to, and this one particular agent had rung me about 3 months before, and we might have brought him over before the deadline just to have a look, because he was coming to the end of his contract in Canada. And the history was he previously played up in Scotland in the Championship. This was about 3 or 4 years previous, but played out in Canada. Anyway, just towards the end of a deadline, I get a phone call to say, "Look, he's out here, but apparently he went to Morecambe and he was promised something and it didn't come to fruition." I went, "Bring him down today if you can, because we've got some problems here, and I potentially I could do with him." So then I, like you do, you go on Wisecout. I watched him over and over and over, and very good left foot, and I felt that he could help us. And then, lo and behold, he comes in. He probably trains a week, and then he starts, which I don't think he ever believed he would. And he starts against Gillingham. Gabby went on to play 4 games in 12 days and had not played for 6 months previous. had not played for 6 months because their season in Canada finishes 6 months earlier, and testament to him and what he's done with himself, keeping himself fit. But by the fourth game, he was against Harrogate. I had to bring him off, bless him, at half time because his legs had gone in that game. But prior to that, he'd been. If we and what I must say is, if we don't have a David Norman, if we don't have a Paul Ossu, who comes out of the blue from AFC, well, he was discarded basically by AFC Wimbledon, and if we don't have those types of characters within the building, we're not getting across the line with getting promotion, because they were so influential in the brief amount of minutes they had.
Yeah, absolutely. What an impact those players made, and just especially hearing you speak about John Guthrie playing on with a hamstring in the second half, just what a soldier, just absolutely blows me away, really. And I suppose John Guthrie is going to be a huge part of your plans moving into League One, because I think he signed a long-term contract, didn't he? Was it last year? Because he's sort of moved into Northampton and got a young family there. So you must feel like he can play a huge part in sort of what you want to try and do in League One.
No, of course, Gab. I think the John and probably about 9 others that we signed 2 years ago. Not many teams really do it, but we'd signed a lot of these players 2 years ago, and we realised that we've done well here. These guys are really, their output is very good. They're efficient. They're doing what we need to do. They're taking things on board. And I spoke to the club about, look, this is a good group. I want to re-sign them, and the club hadn't really done that before. You see across the board, a lot of people leave them till the end of the season, make them feel hungry. And I went, no, I don't want them hungry. I want them to be here. And now what we've got, a lot of them are re-signed again. And I said this the other day on radio. I said, we've got a baby boom within the group now, that a lot of the players feel so happy and comfortable and enjoying it, that they're all having kids, and we're creating families within a family with our group. And you don't do that when you're not happy and enjoying what you do. So, recruitment's been really good, and we're really pleased with what we've done. And to go back to your point about John, I lost my second captain in a row in Fraser Horsfall last season, because obviously no matter what I did, we couldn't come up to what he could command. And then obviously Stockport were able to offer him what he wanted, and so I lost another captain in Fraser, and John stepped in as the captain, and he's been tremendous. What a leader he's been. And that story that I told you about his hamstring and him carrying on is testament to the way he's led the group, and he'll put himself, put the group way before he'll put himself up there. So, that's what you want from your captain and leader.
Absolutely, yeah. All for the cause, really. Talk to me about the role Mitch Pinnock has played over the last couple of years, because he's been fantastic, more than deserving of another shot in League One, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. We talked before he came in, talked about his time at Wimbledon. Obviously, a good friend of mine is Mark Robinson as well, and I asked Mark a lot about him, and he said he's a character, and which he is, and we love that character and I love that side to him, and obviously watched him a lot of videos of him at Kilmarnock, and I just felt that was sort of the creator we needed. And a lot of his key passes forward into the heart of opposition, where he really hurts opposition. He's got a great range of pass, and we've played him 8 or 10 as well, not wide at times, and he's really loved that. He's never usually played there before, and
John, he can float a bit more as well when he plays in that sort of role.
Yeah, he gets the freedom without saying too much. He has freedom because he needs that type of freedom, and he's that type of player. And you got to look at your players and see how you can get the best out of them. When if you close him off and say, this is where I want you to be, this is the space, you're going to limit him and his creativity. And obviously he's been key to us in his assists and his delivery on set pieces and various other things. He's added a lot more to his game defensively on set pieces. He's got the height, and he's really worked hard and done brilliant with us at times when when we've had big injuries on our back line. We haven't had the height. Mitch has stepped in on set pieces defensively as well. And he laughs. He says he wouldn't have previously done that, but he's been brilliant for us in doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to sort of dwell on the injuries, but it's hard to kind of avoid it given that how big a part it's played in Northampton's season. Are there, obviously, it's a huge credit to you and Colin and Mark and how you've been able to adapt to the challenges. But are you looking at this summer in terms of let's review why we've had all these injuries and try and come up with new ways of minimizing that risk, I suppose?
Yeah, it's been a bone of contention that Gab. We've certainly looked at it around Christmas time and what we'd taken already then, and then we've reviewed it more. We've had a lot of big knocks and big hits, and then also on the back of it, we have probably the other 40% have been hamstrings, and but we hear across the board from Premiership down percent increase in hamstrings this season. Now, is that it's? I think a lot of teams must be trying to work out why is this so. So yes, we've really tried to look in depth into that.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose it is part of that process going to be in terms of recruitment, because sometimes in order to get a player of quality that's better than the level, you've got to take a risk somewhere down the line, whether it's lack of senior experience, whether their sort of mentality's been questioned, or whether they've got sort of fitness issues. Otherwise they wouldn't be playing at that level, and sometimes you have got to take that risk sometimes. But is that possibly a balance that you and the recruitment team are going to look at in terms of the process for this summer?
Yeah, look, we were quite lucky in a way that this season, obviously our squad might have looked bigger than normal in the end, but we were quite clever. People like Josh Harrett, Paul Ossu, David Norman, they came in for an opportunity. So they came in not worrying about what they were paid. They took minimum wages to come and play because we didn't have the money to offer them that opportunity. So that was really important. So those guys and Josh Harrett, bless him, didn't get the opportunity because we could never get him fit. But going into that, we have to look at you. But you always look at players that are they robust enough? How many games do they play on average? And what's their injury situation? How long they've been out before previous? What are the previous things they had? But Gab, sometimes it can be down to luck as well, and you just don't know what's around the corner with that. Now, mate, I'm touching loads of wood. I hope it's a freak season for us because it's been really tough, really hard, and in terms of just constantly finding a way. Because when we win a game, there's always hurt with that win. We've had 3 or 4 out after that win, and then next minute we didn't have that depth to think, look, we can put him in as a natural replacement. We've had to, as you know, shuffle players all around the team. I think it's the only position Sam Hoskins hasn't played as goalkeeper at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. How has that sort of impacted your thinking for squad planning for next season? And what I suppose I'm curious to know, what's the injury situation likely to be for the start of pre-season in about a month's time?
Well, the whole group should be there or thereabouts. There's probably 2 that will probably be back 2 to 3 weeks before start of the season, and then one other Tyler McClure won't be back with us until probably next February. So he took a pretty hefty knee injury. So, yes, I would hope that this season we could potentially have more depth to our squad. And that would be important. But obviously, that's we can try to do that. And hopefully there's an opportunity to do that because it just felt extremely skinny at times this season.
Yeah, I can certainly imagine that. Are you excited about the prospect of managing or starting a season in League One for the first time? Because it's slightly different circumstances taking charge last time around. So, you excited about League One?
Of course we are. We're looking forward to it, but I feel the challenge is to be competitive in League One this season. Whereas I think out of the three promotions, we've only managed to stay up. I haven't really looked at it, Gav, but I'm pretty sure. Well, to be honest, I started to do a lot of research this morning, back in and really doing my research and making sure that I know what we need, except in terms of a lot of the stats. I love that side of things first and foremost, where we need to get to. And I think one of the years they went up, it stayed up for 2 years and then come back down again. So it's important we have sustainability and consistency. I feel that's going to be huge, and that we're hugely competitive. We shouldn't fear anyone, but we'll certainly respect everyone. But we've got a good foundation for the first time. People talk about 18 players signed on. It's not really that. We have, but there's youngsters that'll go out step 3, step 2, etc. Probably got a good base of about 14 players right now. Can you hear me, mate?
Sorry, the internet connection's gone a little bit. I think I can see you there.
So we'll have a good base of about 14 players overall that will really help us next year, and we need to build on that with probably at least 8 more signings. It'd be good.
Yeah, well, hopefully you can find the right ones. I think when Northampton have gone up from League One, from League Two previously, there's been a bit of instability, I suppose. So back in 2016, you had Chris Wilder leaving. Back in 2020, you had a lot of the key players going as well. So this year, I suppose you're going to hope to have a little bit more stability and retain those key assets.
Yeah, well, unless Man City come in for Sam Hoskins or something like that, But look, to go into League One and retain, 14 players that have been very effective for us, I think we've got a good start there. We need to certainly add to that, and players that can really make the difference in League One, and that's what we're aiming for. And obviously, it's going to be a hard summer again of us recruiting organically again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Jon, we wish you all the best with it. You've done some incredible work this season, so thanks for talking to us, and all the best for next season and beyond.
Brilliant, Gab. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Jon. This has been EFL Debate. We'll see you again next time.